Ooh, what's up, everyone? Hello, how's it going tonight? It's again Thursday. What is it? Thursday, the 24th, 22nd of, I don't know what day it is. The 24th of March. There it is. There it is. And we are here broadcasting to you live. We're back in Baltimore, away from Saudi Arabia, back home from Saudi. And so here we are back again. And so, as you can see, it's a little bit of a different setting. We're now using the studio here at the roastery. And this is kind of one of the setups I've been working on. And so, yeah, so hopefully you like it. It's now, because it's a little bit of a change, it's going to be a bit of a work in progress. And it's going to be just a little bit different while we try to figure things out. Like the way that everything is set up is completely different than how it normally is. So it's going to be a little bit of, getting used to. All right, so welcome to the show. Thanks for tuning in. We're back again with another week of Coffee and Cigars here every Thursday night at 8 p.m. on the Ono Coffee channel. Actually, speaking of which, starting in April, we're going to change the channel from the Ono Coffee channel, create one called the OnoLive channel, and that will have all of the live streams pushed to it from that point on. So starting next month, in a couple weeks, we're going to be doing that. And so today, we're going... A Mr. Rogers cardigan, that would be nice. That would be nice. I like that idea. We're going to have to get that in. Let me see if I can make my screen. So the whole setup is really different here. Like, I'm normally sitting at my desk, and I've got monitors in front of me, and the camera's like really close. The camera's a little bit farther away now, and I'm trying to figure out if the monitor is like several feet away now. So, and Rusty says, I need a change of shoes. Yes, I do. My gosh, my shoes are... On my way back from Saudi Arabia, they lost my bags, and it's a bit of a loss. And how is that? Okay, good. And it's, clothes, shirts, shoes, some of the microphones, like the microphone that I'm wearing today. I've a set of these that I lost were part of that. A lot of the miscellaneous gear, not the cameras. The cameras I keep with me, but just some of the other stuff. So, c'est la vie. What are you going to do? It happens. And, when you travel a lot, yeah, I could be upset about it, but, I'm not going to get that upset about it. Youngma, how are you, man? Good to see you. Welcome to the show. How are things in New York City? And we're here again. And I'm actually just waiting for the water to boil. So, like, in the other setup, I've got this big induction burner that boils water pretty fast. This is another one that's a smaller one that doesn't boil as fast, but it's getting close. So we're almost ready to brew our coffee. But let's talk about the coffee today. Today's coffee... Oh, exactly. Today's coffee is from Mono Coffee Roasters. I actually, in one of the bags, I actually had a whole bunch of coffee that the Sulalat Coffee Company gave to me. I had like 4 2-kilo bags. So they're all gone, or at least temporarily they're gone. That was what I was planning. One of those coffees I was going to use for this. And that's not happening. But luckily, we still have some of this Worka. The Ethiopia. Oh, sorry, I can't really see that. There we go. The Worka Ethiopia from Yurgachefi from Mono Coffee Roasters in Saudi, in Riyadh. My friend Fatin is the one that is roasting this coffee. And it's really, this coffee is really lovely. I really enjoyed it. So we're using that today, the Worka. Oh, good. Looks like the water's ready. And today we're going to, and here's the other thing. So since I'm in a chair, I don't really have any tables in front of me to use. So everything's going to kind of float, which could be detrimental to my lap. But anyway, we're going to use the clever today, which is probably a bad idea. And then we're going to fold over the filters. Hope you can see all of this. How does that look? Oh, yeah, you can see it. Yeah, pretty good. Pretty good. I think I need to make it a little bit more warmer in tone. Like it's very daylight balance. Maybe I'll work on the coloring so that it has a little bit more tungsten incandescent lighting. All right, so we're just folding that over, right? And then we've got our coffee already ground, 24 grams. Ooh, can you see it? So those little lights that I carry that I show you? Well, those two were also lost in the baggage. So we're losing everything this week. Rusty says maybe we'll show up when you. Hopefully. It's just that like normally when I lose bags, I've already recovered them by this point. Within 2 days they're recovered. But this week is. I'm starting to not be optimistic about it. But luckily I did get the travel insurance, so I've been told that covers that. So that would be nice. More unobtainable. Yeah, we'll get some more obtainable. We'll get some obtainable beads soon. The levitation lab. There we go. The 100th episode will use Starbucks via. That'll be much more accessible to everyone. All right, so now we're going to get the coffee, the water. Water's already boiled. And we're going to pour it in. And like we normally do, we're going to give it a little bit of a blooming. Give it 3 minutes, and we'll start the 3 minutes. Can you see that? There we go. 2 minutes. 59 seconds. Yeah, there we go. And it's brewing away. Oh. Maybe next week I'll feature the house blend we have a new blend here at Spro called House Nation, and it's our house blend that actually is a homage to one of the records that I really enjoyed back when I was younger. I'm going to add the water. Oh, you can't really see that. Okay, there we go. We're going to let that timer run. I got a little side table, so I'm going to set that on the side table because it's pretty dangerous for me to hold on to it. That would not be a good deal. So what's been going on there? What are you guys smoking tonight? What are you drinking? Drop them in the comments below. I definitely would like to know. It's nice to be in a little bit more of a comfortable time zone than 3 in the morning. Actually, it wasn't terribly difficult to do it last week because, there's so much jet lag involved that I really didn't sleep. Like I didn't really sleep after the show last week. Actually, I didn't really sleep much at all this past week. It was really one of the more difficult trips in terms of sleeping. Like normally I'm able to sleep fairly well. Maybe 1 or 2 days early on, I don't really get too much sleep, but this one, pretty much the entire time was just difficult. No, he loves it. Excellent. Chicago style coffee. What is that? I'm not familiar with that. I'm not too familiar with Chicago style. Where's our timer? There it is. Another minute to go. Yeah, so what I was doing in Saudi last week was running a competition they called the Cup Tasters. And I don't know if I explained this last week, but basically the competitors have a table of 8 triangulations. And each of the triangulations have 3 cups. 2 of them are the same coffee, and then the third one is the odd coffee. And it's up to the competitors to identify the odd cup and do it as fast as they can. And, last week I was telling you that the goal was to make it pretty difficult, and it was pretty difficult. Like the first round of 48 competitors, only one competitor got the perfect score of 8. I think there was 1 7, maybe a couple 6s, and then 5s. Yeah, 3 6s, a 7, 8, 7, 6, 6, 6, and then, or maybe there was 8, 7, 6, 6, 6, and then 5. But basically, one of my friends, Fahad, he just slid in. He slid in with 5 correct cups. But the only reason he was able to slide in because he did them super fast at 2 minutes, 30 seconds and beat everybody else. And had he not done that, he would have been eliminated in the first round. But he made it to the semifinals and then did not make it to the finals. And, the boys in the back, they were really working very hard on combining really high quality coffees, but finding ones that are super narrow with differences between them. So we did a tasting of the coffees for the semifinals round, and all of us pretty much got half of them correct. I got half of them correct. I missed out on 4. I have 4 of them. So it was pretty tough. It was very tough. By the time they got to the finals, it really was a super, super challenge. Young was asking, did you enjoy the cupping after sleeping on it? You know, like I said, I didn't really sleep. So it's like, even up to the last day that I was there on Monday, I really couldn't sleep the night before. And it was really, in some respects, just kind of brutal. Okay, so now we're going to take this and place it on top. As you can see, it's going to flow in. Part of me wants to let go of one of the hands, or I mean the right hand, but that seems to be fraught with disaster. All right, we're rolling here. I'm gonna set that aside while it's doing its thing. Let's catch up on some of the things here. Rusty says, I celebrated National Cheesesteaks Day and capped it off with the March Farm rolled. Oh, the March Farm roll that came in the mail yesterday. Ah, was that the one with a? Is that what factory is that from? Do you recall? Like I said 2 weeks ago, I think I've smoked 3 of them from that pack. The very first one, the short Robusto with the really light Colorado wrapper, I thought was really, really good. The second one was kind of meh. The third one, I don't know, but it was okay. It was okay. Oh yeah, come down. Actually, he's already tried cigars, I think so. But yes, come down, enjoy more cigars. Oh, to the house. Oh gosh, sorry. Yes, Frankie Knuckles and all that. I get them. My apologies. I'm the one that's slow. You're totally on the money with that. So what I used to do is that on Thursday mornings, like in 1987, I would drive down to Saratoga Street here in Baltimore City, park, and then walk around the corner onto Howard Street to go to a place called Sound of Baltimore. It was this record store right on Howard Street in downtown Baltimore, and it was kind of the epicenter of where house music and club music was being, whatever, sourced. And I met this guy, Warren, this DJ named Warren, who worked there. I think he might have been the owner, or he was working for the owner at the time. I think he owned it later. And actually, I reconnected him on Facebook not too long ago. It was really great to talk to him again. But I used to go there every Thursday morning, $20 in hand, and I would buy like 3 or 4 12 inches records and just add to the collection every week, adding new house tunes, house music, because I was more into like the alternative club scene, and like I was doing more alternative club DJing, but I wanted to really, push some of the new house sound into it. And that was a lot of fun. All right, so our coffee's ready. Nice and brewed now. I'm wondering if the lens is too narrow, right? Like is it too tight? Do you feel like the image is too tight? All right, so here's our coffee. Looking pretty good. We'll put that in our mug. All right, let's give it a smell. Oh, nice fruity tones, crisp and clean. Also, how is the sound? Is it sound coming through well? I'm using a bit of a different. I'm using a similar setup as I used last week, but it's different than what I normally use here. Nice, like fruit tones, clean, like crisp, like a real sharp, cleanliness on the palate. All right, looking good. All right, let's see. All right, so we've got the cigar of the week. I'm going to pull it out of our humidor. The official Coffee and Cigars humidor. Thank you, Rusty, as always. And today's cigar is the HVC 500th Anniversary. I'm going to need some kind of front lighting, I see. Okay, I want to work on that for next week. And it's a Toro-shaped cigar, 5 7/8 by 52. Tesoros, and it's supposed to celebrate 500 years of, what was it? I read it somewhere, and 500 years of harvesting in Cuba, I believe. I think George might know more. So George says, image frame is fine, but perhaps use more light. Bounce some off the back to give yourself a glow. Yeah, you know what I didn't put up? I forgot to set up the halo light that normally would shine on the back of my head. That would be a monumental effort at this point. So next week, we'll have that set up. And so it's got this nice, it's dry. So it's dry feeling on the fingers, but a bit silky. Like it's dry but smooth, if that makes sense, right? It's not like that oiliness we see in some of the other ones, or that really, really sheeny kind of thing. But it's really more of a dry, but still pleasant. Can I see if I can get some more light on it here for you? Does that help? Yeah, maybe a little bit. All right, I'm going to work more on that. Definitely work more on that. Yeah, the humidor is ready to go. They're ready. All right, so now I'm going to cut it with our. I don't, since the actual MTC cutter is in the other studio. So I've got the Cheapy My Father double guillotine. I'm going to give it a cut here. Oh, George, you know, I wanted to ask you, you might know this. In 2 weeks, I have to be in Boston. Where's the good place to smoke cigars in Boston? Like Boston, in past trips has been very difficult to smoke in. And so are there any good lounges out there? So we get nice spiciness, light barnyard, light manure, but it's got nice spiciness on the nose. Dry and silky. Yeah, you know, it is an oxymoron, but really that's kind of like it looks dry, right? But it feels slightly silky, not a super silky slickness, but like you can feel a little bit of the resistance, but it is still on the smoother side. I know that might not make any sense, but it if you felt it, I think you would agree. The best lounge in Boston is in Providence. Is that the one that that used to have the location down by the where the marathon bombing happened? We went to a place right when the bombing happened. Like I was there when the bombing happened, and in 2013, and a couple nights before that, we went out for a cigar. I think Rusty was with us actually for that time. We went to this cigar bar right there on whatever street that is, and then but I know they had a sister shop in Providence that I had been to previously. But I heard there was like some newer like cigar lounges in Boston. I have to look it up, I guess. All right, so let's do some lighting. Well, cold draw first. There's a little bit of sweetness on the cold draw, but the draw right now is a little bit tight. It's a tighter draw. I'm going to light with some matches. Oh yeah. Was it ComAv where they blew up the bomb? So I wasn't there when the bomb exploded. We were actually in Cambridge. I was actually with Rusty's sister and her husband, and we were sitting in a car on a major road in Cambridge. It was a beautiful day, tons of people out, and then like their mom, like Rusty's mom, called us, and she was like, "Are you guys okay?" And they were like, "What are you talking about? We're fine. What's going on?" She was like, "There's been a bombing," and I was like, "What bombing? What are you talking about?" Turn on the news. So we pulled up our phones and looked on the news, and yeah, there had been a bombing at the marathon, you know, downtown. And so we decided to go inside to a bar to catch, catch the news and see what's going on. And it was really what I thought about was super like eerie to me was that as I sat in the car looking out, here was all these people. It's a beautiful sunny Sunday. People are wandering around. They're having a great time. And it's like, here they are, all these people enjoying their lives. And in just a few moments, it's going to all be shattered. It was kind of like 9/11 in that respect. Like everything's going fine. And then suddenly everything changes. And, we sat in the bar. And as people started coming in, the whole mood really changed. It was really, really strange to be there, but fascinating to watch. Yeah, good. Yeah, come down. It's going to be, right now we're planning to be July 2nd, Saturday, July 2nd, and we're going to planning on doing a 6-hour live stream or some kind of long live stream. The best known cigar bar is that downstairs dungeon in Little. Oh, I don't think I've been to that one. I'll have to look that up. And Brian says he's smoking the Aquitaine Anthropology 5x46. All right, here we go. We're going to light it up. We're going to use some matches from a little place in Cuba, a little shop in Princeton, New Jersey. George, I don't think we talked about this, but you know how we went to that bakery next door to taste of Cuba? I didn't find it to be that amazing. Like I was expecting to be a lot better. I was disappointed. So while the cold draw was a bit snug, now that it's lit or during the lighting, it wasn't bad at all. It was actually pretty. It loosened up, and we're getting a little bit of a weird. I know it's very early in the cigar, but just wanted to point this out to you. I don't know if you can see that as well, but right here, there's a little bit of hole in that. Let's see, there's a little bit of a divot in the burn. There's a little bit of a hole in that. And I'm not sure, I just thought I'd note that because, I'm not sure what that means or if it means anything, but we did a marathon on Saturday for the 100. Yeah, that sounds good. We can do a 5K. That's more than I could handle. Stanza di Cigari. That's the place. Oh, okay. I've heard of that. I have not been to that one. I have not been there. Yeah, well, he enjoyed it. My dad will enjoy all the bread that I bring. But, when it came to like batards and, that kind of campagna bread that's like, you want that nice crustiness that's kind of got a little bit of a crunch. It just didn't have that. So, I don't know. Steve's here. What's up, Steve? How are things in Arizona? We are smoking the HVC 500th Anniversario Tesoros. And then it says, yeah, it looks like the cold seam, the Nold seam. Yeah, hopefully it won't be, hopefully it's not going to go anywhere. It's a little bit on the sharper, definitely a lot of black pepper. A little bit in the nose, there's a little bit of black pepper. I feel like I'm like doing some retrohaling. Oh, also, I should note that, I woke up this morning with a bit of a cold that's been kind of lingering all day. So I still can breathe and like smell and taste, but depending on how this smoking session and scoring session turns out, I may go back to it again later at a different time and re-smoke it just to make sure, just because, if the scoring, if I start to, have negative score, bad scoring, I don't want it to be because my senses have been dulled. Well, hopefully not. Hopefully not, will you? Oh, you never can predict those kind of things. You never know who's upset with you. A mold seam, yes, okay. Well, right now it looks like it's starting to smoothen out, I think. Oh, gotcha. You know, I'm willing to try 5K. Actually, someone and I were talking about a fundraiser for the Filipino organization that I work with, and I was toying with the idea of like putting together what we call a lechon 5K. So lechon in Filipino cuisine is the roasted pig, and I was thinking, you know, if you run in the race, and at the end of the 5K or 3K, whatever, you get to eat the lechon, you get to eat the roasted pig. And then maybe there's a couple like waypoints where, you know, you get to eat something. That would be kind of fun. Brian said the flu is going around. Yeah, oh gosh. Well, here's the thing. Like I haven't really been exposed to anyone since I arrived. And this same kind of cold happened to me when I came back from my last trip in December, when I flew through Chicago, and the routing this time was the same. So Chicago again. So I'm like, oh man, what's with the Chicago returns, you know? Oh, Brian got it. Brian knew that we weren't talking about, you weren't talking about running. Yeah, Tony, don't smoke the cellophane. That's bad for you. No. That's my favorite. That's my favorite K-pop idol, Nancy from Momoland. Actually, 3 years ago, in June of 2019, I flew down to Mexico City because Momoland was having their fan meeting concert, and I wanted to go check it out. So I flew down, hung out with some friends, and got to see the girls perform. It was a good time. It was a good time. Tony says he's smoking the Limatan from Illusione Islet Bay line. Oh, with coffee. What coffee? No Mountain Dew, major watermelon Mountain Dew? And Young Man's asking, do I chew tobacco? No, I do not chew tobacco. If you're asking why am I using the cup and a little bit of spinning, because I get this saliva production from cigars that started maybe 15 years ago or so, and I just can't. I just don't have anything to do about it. It could be the Delta Crown. Could be. Luckily, I have a place to hide out. I mean, I did fly through Germany, so you never know. But one of the things about Germany, what was interesting, and this is true on both the outbound and the return, was that on the days that I flew through Frankfurt Airport, they were having strikes. So on the way out, there was a strike, and then on the way back, there was a strike, meaning that so it was a strike about their security employees. So they didn't have any well, the security workers were striking. So all the checkpoints entering the airport were shut down. So passengers in Germany trying to get into the terminal were not allowed. So the flights left. Some of them just left with, whatever people didn't make it. So I was lucky in that respect. That when the flight to Chicago from Frankfurt I was able to get a seat next to me open. On the way to Riyadh, I was able to get a row net for me. So that was really pleasant. But, flying through Germany could have exposed us to Deltacron. But they're pretty strict, like with mask wear usage and stuff. So who knows? Hopefully not. But yes, the Major Melon, absolutely. And George says, I'm testing a sneak preview of the Crown Heads PC exclusive. Ooh, nice. How is it? Should we be looking for it? There's really interesting aromatics. I think because there's some level of stuffage in my nose, right? That I'm getting some level of retrohaling, inadvertent retrohaling. Like I'm not trying to retrohale, but I can kind of feel it coming through. And George, Tony wants you to save one of those exclusives for him. Oh, set your calendars. May 15th, Sunday, May 15th. Raul is having a cars, cigars, and coffee event at his parking lot. So people are going to bring all kinds of like antiques and supercars, and it'll be cigars, and I'm going to be serving coffee. So come down, bring your lawn chairs, and it should be a nice time. Hopefully the weather will be nice, and it'll be a nice time. If it rains on May 15th, I think the rain date is going to be like June 13th. So something to keep in mind. A little bit different to do on a Sunday morning. George says, so far he likes it. Mild and tasty smoke, but boy, what you'd better be ready to jump on this year's for 2022. When does that come out? Always a good guy. George wants to know, do we have to bring mobile coffee makers? No, we will actually have a friend of mine, I'm partnering with a friend of mine, or I'm renting out his vehicle. I don't really know what we're doing. We were working it out, but a friend of mine has a Vespa that has an espresso machine set up on it, and so we're going to be able to make lattes and cappuccinos as well as brewed coffee for everyone. So it should be a nice time. Should be a nice way to have some of that stuff, and maybe I'll see about getting some, like, I don't know, maybe some pastries to go along with that, and that could be nice. Tony wants to know which was the Lancero in that. All right, excellent. Let us know when they're being shipped. Be good. That'll be good. So this is, you got a nice spice to it. A lot of black pepper. But to be honest with you, I'm thinking that I will I will revisit this again at some point, because I don't think that my palate is going to give it the due justice it deserves during today's session. But so far, the draw, very good. Smoke production, very good. Flavor-wise, that's where I'm having a tougher time discerning definitively whether it should be, where it should be on the spectrum. But I'm leaning towards a very good. Cafe Italiano via Vespa, absolutely. C. Vespa Espresso, yes, absolutely. Oh, there's this. Oh, excellent. Vespresso. Oh, I like that one, Vespresso. Oh, Vespresso. Oh, George is here. What's going on, George? Moving into the Lampiriosa with a pickle-infused vodka martini. That sounds interesting. I'm presuming pickles instead of the olives, yes? Yeah, exactly. That Vespresso. That is quite a fun one. Like, I want to say there's this really mild creaminess to it as well. Just kind of on the undertone of it all. Like, if you can imagine, there's nice bright black pepper. Like black pepper is very prominent. And then somewhere underneath that layer is this light creaminess. It could also be mucusy stuff that I'm just mistaking for creaminess. But it's smoking well. It's smoking very well. Actually, I have to go by Raul's this weekend on Saturday. Pick up the next round of cigars. That's the way I haven't really loaded up. So if you look at the show notes for down below, you'll see that we only have it scheduled out till next week with the Roma Craft Revenge. But I will make sure that we get down there this weekend, Saturday, because I have to go down to actually I have to go to Falls Church to pick up my shoes. So I had some shoes being repaired by Betos, which is great. He finished that pair, and now I'll have another pair to wear. Now that the other ones are gone, and actually the ones that were in the bag, they were some of my favorites. They were custom made Oxfords out of museum calf leather. I mean, I was at the shoemaker's several years ago, and he was like, "Look at this. Here's our latest museum calf." And he showed me the hide, and I was like, "Oh my God, dude! I need those shoes, and I need them made in that right away." And then I had Steve at Betos do some modification to them, so he put on these nice toe taps, these steel toe taps. And if I lose those, that will be really disappointing. I guess I'll have to call the shoemaker again and be like, "Hey, time for another pair." Brian says, Steve must be still at work or driving home. All right. Well, Steve will be around. He'll come around. No, I think we'll still do some rating on it and just see how it turns out. But I think that it's I think the prudent thing for the final standing is to do it again later when the palate is much more clean and ready to go. I think it'll be interesting to see how the performance of the cigar differs, between the two. But right now the burn is going pretty nicely. Oh, can't see that. I need to put a light in front of the camera. But as you see, the burn looks pretty nice. That little bit of a glitch we had at the very beginning because of the mold scene went away right away. It wasn't an issue at all, except in that initial lighting. But I definitely have so we set up, one of the things that took us so long to get broadcasting from this space is because I was waiting. Well, it just took me a long time to put together the exhaust system for this setup. Like there is a big 2-foot fan here. The problem is when I turn the 2-foot fan on, you can't really hear what I'm saying. I can't hear what I'm thinking, and it's just not conducive to this kind of thing. So I had to put a smaller fan. I installed a 400 CFM fan and then ran some ducting over the seating area. So there's actually a ducting that's right above my head. And it seems to be working pretty well in this setup. So that I'm right now, it's relatively pleasing. George says, try aggressively retro hailing Mike. Well, let's see. See, I have a hard time trying to get myself to do that. That's not working. I don't think it's going to come out. Yeah, it's not working. Is that some Rembrandt we've never seen? This piece here is an interesting piece. So, was it 2 years ago or 3 years ago? I had been approached by some development companies to open more Spro locations here in Baltimore, and I was looking at several different locations. One of them was in this area called Towson that has this old armory, and the armory had their like dining room that they wanted to convert into a cafe. And I looked at it and I thought it was kind of awesome. Like there was this massive fireplace with this massive wall, and I was like, this could be amazing, right? And so that year, so before in Baltimore, they used to have this convention called BronyCon, which was a convention about fans and lovers of My Little Pony. And every year it happened, and they had all these people called bronies that would come and they dress up as My Little Pony. And I was like, and then they finally announced that year was the last year it was ever going to happen. And I was like, you know what? I'm curious to see what this everybody like denounces bronies, right? And so I was like, well, I'm curious to see what it's really like. So I got a pass and I went. And it was this massive show that took over the convention center. Like it was craziness, and like, it was like a 3-day event, and it's, you go to like a convention and it lasts, during the day. Trade shows last during the day, right? We've all been to them. Like you go to RTDA, but at these kind of things, they have programming into the night hours. Like 3 a.m, you could still have stuff to do at the convention center. It was pretty crazy. And so, and I mean, this is a massive event. It took over the entire convention center. Like it was pretty wild. He did tighten his framing. Yes. Well, it's just, the distance is different. Actually, the actual space itself is larger than the other one. It's just the way that we have it set up now. Like actually, if I'm looking at the big screen that I have, the monitor, it really does look like the painting is right on my back, right? Like the painting is like right there. It's actually 4 feet behind me. I think it's about 4 feet. And part of the reason why it looks so close is because I've actually got I've got the zoom pretty far forward. So we're probably right around 65, 70 millimeters on zoom. So that'll flatten it. That flattens out the depth, right? So if I had kept it wide, like I would have to bring the camera physically closer, and then we get more depth of field. Because right now we're running at f5.6, so and at 800 ISO. So actually, I could probably tinker with it. But as you can see, if I pulled it back, you can see how the set changes, right? This is the big fan, right? My bike. And then some of our like grip gears over here. And then the backdrop is only painted for that. So it's really designed to be closer like this. I could, I don't know if this is going to work, but I could physically move the camera closer. Like that. And then you'd see that now you can see that the image, the painting is actually farther away, right? You can see more of the depth. I don't know if that's a better framing or not. I just have to play around with a lot of it. But that's kind of the thing. So back to what I was saying is, so they have this like auction of like all kinds of My Little Pony. And I saw this in the auction and I was like, oh my gosh, that's kind of epic. Like it was epic. And it's 55 inches wide, right? It's massive. It's a massive painting, right? Oil-based painting done by this artist, of course, is into BronyCon. And basically it's the Archangel. What's his name? I forgot. My religion is bad at the moment. But basically, the archangel of the bronies of My Little Pony is raining down upon what is essentially a hellscape of death and destruction. It's like the war of the brony. It's like the war of the ponies, right? And there's like dead ponies everywhere, like they're massively piled in bodies. And the angel Gabriel is coming down. And I just thought it looked epic, and I was thinking this would be amazing on the wall above above the mantle. So I bought it, and the crazy thing is that I bought it for this cafe that I had looked at, that I hadn't signed a lease on, that I hadn't done any work on. I just thought this would be amazing. So I went and I took it home, and well, we never went through with we decided not to go through with those locations, and I had this painting that was massive, and there's no place for me to put it. Like, I was going to put it at the Hamden shop, but the wall space, there's just not enough wall space in Hamden to do it. And with the wainscoting, the ceilings weren't tall enough. It was really just like, where am I going to put this? So it sat in my basement on the, leaning up against the wall for like the last couple of years, and I put it up here, maybe a few months ago for this purpose. So Brian wants to know how much it costs. I ended up, I got caught up. Like, I was like, okay, I'm going to spend $400. That's it. I'm going to spend $400. And then I was like, but then I was bidding. I was like, you know what? I got to have it. I'm going to put it on that wall, and people are going to walk into the cafe and they're going to be like, that's amazing. So I paid double that. Like, this one kid really wanted it, and I was like, I'm not going to let this kid have it. You're not going to get it. I'm going. And then I think at one point I jumped. Like, when I got to 400, I was like, 600, just to try to cut him out. But it was good. It's good. I really like it. Like, I really dig it. And I think because it's like it's a My Little Pony, I think that even makes it more like interesting. All right, let's see here. My Little Pony FBI surveils that con. Well, I know people really like are down upon these bronies, and like they think they're like weird deviants. And I kind of thought that myself, but I was like, I'm gonna go see for myself and like decide. And what I have to say is I was really, really surprised that it really is an atmosphere of love and friendship, and people are just genuine. People of all ages are so genuinely enthusiastic about the My Little Pony world that it's just, there was never a time when I felt that I saw anyone that was creepy. Like, they're actually really good about policing themselves, right? Like, it was very well organized and very well controlled, and everybody was there, and it was really one of the nicer cons I've ever been to. And I've been to quite a few. Like, I like to go to these different like sci-fi cons whenever I can. Like, they have one called Farpoint that happens in February here, actually about a mile away from where I am right now. I like to go to that one. I didn't get to go this year because there was conflicts in the scheduling. And then there's one called Shore Leave that happens in Timonium in July usually. These are more Star Trek sci-fi related. So, and then the BronyCon happened, and I always wanted to check out the big one, Otakon that they had, that they moved now to the Gaylord in DC. But I never got to go to those. Those were just crazy massive, and I was like, I don't want to go to massive like events. I'm like, oh yeah, for sure, very serious. Oh, the real exhaust test from Brian. That is true. The previous owner of my current co-op owned 2 original. Wow, 2 original dollies. That's amazing. The closest I've ever got to any of those big ones, those big like really serious ones, were at the museum. Like, I was at the Baltimore Museum of Art about a month and a half ago, maybe. And there's this cone collection that's they have like Modigliani's and a bunch of other stuff, and really focused on. I forgot who they're really focused on, but I mean they showed like pictures of the apartment where these two sisters who were collecting these works lived, and how they had. I mean they had them all over, like stacked upon each other on the walls. It was like this immense collection of like original art. But I used to buy a lot more stuff when I was younger. Like I don't really buy art normally. I used to years ago, and I always thought that I thought it would be nice to have to get something at some point that would be valuable, but it's really just more for enjoyment. Like, what did I like? What did I think was moving, that I wanted to have? And I found several pieces, original pieces by artists that still today are unknown, that are amazing. Actually, if I really wanted to be serious about getting art that would be worth something, I really should go to one of my friends and ask her to make. I should have gone to her years ago and said, "Hey, can you do a painting for me?" Because now her work hangs in museums. She actually was the artist that did Michelle Obama's Michelle Obama's official portrait when when they left the White House. So her name is Amy Shearer, and beautiful work. I mean, really unique style of work that I think I've always liked her work. But and she always did these massive, like she always did large pieces. Like that was part of the reason why I never really asked her, was I was like, well, what am I doing with this piece? And then there's this other artist in Mexico City. So when we used to go a lot to Mexico City, there was a place I used to stay all the time called the Red Tree House. It's this little B&B in the La Condesa neighborhood, and I love staying there. It's this beautiful place. This gay couple there, they're so they're so amazing with their architecture and their interior design, and it's just a beautiful, wonderful place to stay. And I used to stay there every trip. Then the world discovered that place, and I haven't been able to get a reservation in years. So I haven't stayed there in my last 4 or 5 trips. But they introduced me to this artist. I can't remember his name, but he's a local artist there, and I just loved his work. And I was so tempted to get a portrait done by him, because I just love the style. But it was like I think $1,500, and I was like, I don't really have $1,500 to spend on a portrait of myself, and plus this would be a massive piece, probably bigger than this. Where am I going to put it? What am I going to do with it? Maybe when we build the Ono Coffee Media Center, maybe I'll get that done then. Yeah. I thought the framing. Oh, you like this framing? Oh, yeah. Okay, good. Okay, we'll stay with this. I thought you meant the painting framing. Oh, yeah. Lives again. Yeah, auction fever. It happens. You got to be careful. You got to be disciplined, or you just got to be ready to go for it when you really want it. All right, I'm glad you like that. It's really interesting, because you go there and yes, there's kids and young kids too. A lot of parents are there too. It's really nice. I was really surprised how nice, and a little bit shocked how nice it was of an event. I would say check it out, but they don't have it anymore, so there is no check it out. That museum is fun about it. Yes, that's the one. Yeah, no, Gardner. They're the Cohen sisters. I just don't remember. I just don't recall right off the top of my head because they were really focused on. They had a lot of pieces by one particular artist that I can't remember, and they had the sculpture. I think it was the Degas. I think it was there was this one that was I'd seen it before in pictures, and I was like, oh my gosh, they had that here. That's crazy. Matisse, exactly. Yeah, that was it, Matisse. Okay, so now I'm talking too much because the cigar has gone out. So I'm going to grab the Jeep and do the Cirillo method. Ooh, that is not working well. There's this kind of petroleum kind of flavor now coming through. Ah. Just when you think that's not going to happen. I'm going to go back to a match. All right, there we go. That's better. That's better. Too much talking. Oh, they got to put Casa Matisse. Okay, yeah. Remind me to start Marvin Shankin. Oh, okay. We'll remember that for soon. Oh, there's Steve. Hey, what's up, Steve? Good to see you, man. How's things in Phoenix? We were just talking with Phoenix. Some people that I know today talking about pizza down there. Like I keep talking, they were talking about pizza in New Haven. I was like, Pete, there's New Haven. And I think they say the Bianco in Phoenix is the way to go. Oh, Mark's here too. What's up, Mark? How you doing? Just tell me, my wife's been a while since I saw that. It's really, I haven't been there in, my gosh, it must be 10 years since I've been there. And yeah, beautiful, beautiful work, just beautiful work. And the museum itself has so many wonderful pieces there. Part of the reason why I wanted to go was I had seen some kind of, I don't know, some maybe it was on social media by the BMA. They had this cigar box piece that had, it was his rollers, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna go check that out. So I finally got down there, and really nice to check it out. Really nice to check it out. Oh, look at this, Peter Locke. How are you, man? Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. You guys, this is Peter. Peter, I normally know from some of the live streams that we watch together, like Curtis Judd, who's one of the sound guys out there in YouTube world, as well as a guy named Alan Soundspeeds. And actually, Peter, Alan's has come to visit us here on the live stream as well. So great to see you. Imposter, that's all right. That's all right. No big deal. So this is actually a new setup that I'm working on. So I'm using a 60 watt LED for the key light with a umbrella, and then a newer 660 panel light with a little bit of mix on the between the daylight and the tungsten for the side fill, and then for the piece in the back, I'm illuminating that with an Airy 300 Fresnel. Actually, it's not a 300 Fresnel. I swapped it out with a 100-watt bulb, so I wouldn't have to burn so much electricity. It's really light, but just enough to punch it. But I'm not really, we were talking about it earlier, I'm not really too, I don't know if I'm happy with the color balance, or the framing. Like we're still playing around with this. Like normally this live stream we've been doing at my desk, which had a whole different setup. But there it is. I'm glad you're here though, man. Good to see you, man. Good to see you. And Steve says, watching from work. How's isn't it kind of late to be at work still? Well, I guess Phoenix is not that late. And Brian says they expanded the cone collection. It's almost twice as big. Oh, okay. If the group loves art, we should do another live room in Philadelphia. We visit the barns. Oh, okay, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. I'm all for that. I used to spend time when I was traveling going to museums. Like I was kind of fancying myself like an auteur, so I would go to the museums, but I haven't fancied myself as an auteur in many years. So I haven't been to museums in quite a long time. And actually, like, I've never been to the Louvre, right? Like, I've been to Paris quite a number of times. I've hung out in Tuileries, sunbathing, prancing by the big pyramid. But then I'd look at the lines at the Louvre and I'm like, oh no, forget it. Forget it. It's just like going to the Eiffel Tower. There's a line. I don't want to go there. The only reason I went to the Eiffel Tower was that one year I brought my girlfriend with me and she was like, we have to go see the Eiffel Tower. And I was like, really? All right. All right. Smoke and drink at one of the secret locations. Okay, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it now. Yeah, for sure. Maybe in April or maybe in May. Maybe May would be the best time. Stuart Daylife Savings. Oh. Right, and Brian's in. And there are some cool roasters up there. Yeah, one of my friends owns a place called Elixir right downtown, close to right off of Walnut Street. And then another friend of mine owns a place called Ultimo Coffee, also really good. So hey, there's some definitely good coffee in Philly. When in France, skip the Louvre and hit the Quai d'Orsay. You know, that's the thing. I didn't go there either. I just didn't go to any museums. I'm like, I'm looking for food. I'm looking for food. Send me. I went to that. I was really more interested in going to check out. There was this. It's been a while since I've been to Paris. Actually, it's maybe almost 10 years, to be honest. Yeah, it's probably 10 years. And because when I was going there, there was no like good coffee. Now there's a lot. So. Elixir's great. Passenger's good too. They're also good. Persuaded. Oh, good. Tony can be persuaded to go. Are we talking France now or Philadelphia? Elixir is bomb. Not so much in the Ultimo. Okay, but Square is good. Okay. Gotcha. Thanks for the. Oh, yeah, of course, man. I would like to keep right. Okay. All right, cool. Good. Thank you. I'm glad you're here, man. I'm glad you're here. And I'm using the Sony ZV-1 as the camera. And right now we're running at 1/50 of a second, f5.6, 24 frames, 1080p, ISO 800, and the audio is being fed by a first generation Rode Wireless Go. My Wireless Go 2 was actually in my bag that is missing from my last trip, so I don't have that. And then normally what I'm using is at the other setup, I still use this camera, but I also normally use the Rodecaster Pro with the Electro Voice EV RE20. And so I really like the RE20. And then for the video capturing, I'm planning to buy the 810 Mini Pro ISO. The more that I watch Aaron Parecki, like the more I think I need to buy like the nicer ones. It's like I was gonna buy the Pro, and then I was like watching more of his videos, and Aaron's like, yeah, though you got to do the. He's like, I do all the separate recording channels. I was like, oh my god, I need that ISO, and that's like twice the price. It's like, But right now, for the last year, a year and a half, 2 years, I've been using that simple like $20 HDMI USB card, the really cheap one. That's kind of like the cheap Camlink. So that's what it's on. And then right now, this is all running, of course, as you can see, through StreamYard. And it's being processed through a 2013 MacBook Air. So the guys at StreamYard were like, oh, yeah, you don't really need anything super high-powered. So, and actually, this has worked well. Like last week, we did the live stream from Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. And I used essentially the same setup, except I was using the Wireless Go 2 for the microphone, and then I had the MacBook Air, and I was powering all of that. We used all battery power last week because the show's only 2 hours, and then I was running it tethered through my iPhone 10. That surprisingly has more upload. Typically, the iPhone 10 on AT&T, I've had upwards of like 15 megabits upload, whereas my Comcast connection here, which we're running now, is typically 5. So it's kind of crazy. Probably Philly says France is such a, oh yeah, well, it's not that far. It's only 7 hours. Easy. Most of us don't drink coffee. Show. Yeah, that's true. Most people don't. I'm the only one that tends to drink coffee at this show, just because. Really, the coffee part is the excuse to tie it into the channel. And to what I do professionally. So otherwise, it's just really a chance for everyone to hang out and smoke cigars and drink whatever they want to drink. Philly May sounds awesome. Everybody with hit. Okay, good. Okay, cool. But shouldn't we do that? Yeah, we could do that on a weekend. Weekends work for me. That's all right. You don't have to learn how to drink coffee. Or if you watch more of my videos, maybe you'll have the chance to try them. So the cigar is smoking pretty well. Like the draw is good, resistance good. The smoke production is good. We had that flame out, but that was because I think I was just talking a lot, not really because of construction issues, because it's not really showing any construction problems. There's definitely black pepper. But like I said earlier, because I have this cold, I'm definitely like, my sensory perception is definitely impacted. Like, really all I'm getting is this pepper. So I'm lacking the complexity. And there's good body. Like, I'd say it's a medium plus, pushing on the full for the body. So, but right now it's been good. I mean, despite the fact that I have a little bit of occlusion in my ability to perceive flavors, it's still coming through pretty well. So it's probably a little bit heavier than I'm perceiving at the moment. I don't know if you guys have you had this. This is the HVC 500. Oh yeah, for sure. Most of our viewers, they like to drink other libations than coffee. Like, I used to do a morning live stream on. So I've got another channel called Spro Coffee, which is the channel for my company, and that's more focused on educational type of videos. And I used to do a live stream at 10 a.m. on Tuesdays, but really I just wasn't getting any audience there, so I kind of slowed that down. Maybe we'll start that up again. What I really find a better audience for live streaming is on Instagram. Like, I've been doing live streams when I was away last week in Saudi Arabia. I was running this coffee competition for the Saudis, and it was at a big coffee and chocolate trade show kind of festival. And so usually I'll come and do like live streams wandering around the trade show floor, looking at the different items. And I tend to get a lot more viewers on Instagram than I do otherwise. But I think it's also about the content that you're doing. George says he's tried the HVC 500, found underwhelming. Oh. Yeah, so I definitely will give this a try again when my palate is cleared, because, could it be that when years ago when I was on I went to the cigar safari with Drew Estate in 2014 with the boys from Hawaii, and I ended up with this cold too, because I was there for like 2 weeks before, and I was visiting coffee farms and all this stuff, and I joined the guys at the end of the trip, and I caught a cold somewhere, and all I could taste was this kind of like, there's this weird flavor that I get, like, and that's all I could taste for those 3 days, was this weird, like, and actually it's kind of like what I'm tasting now. So I wonder, like, am I just and I was smoking a lot of the Nica Sueños during that, because I was like, well, they're plentiful, and I didn't want to burn too many of the Liga number 9s and T52s that they were giving us. So maybe it isn't light. That's why I'm interested to try it again, so that I can get a better feel for it. With the civil war in Ethiopia, is coffee production down, and does coffee come from Eritrea? I don't think they really produce much coffee in Eritrea. Eritrea, I don't really know. And Ethiopia, I've heard that there is some impact from it. I'll actually know more when I go to Boston in 2 weeks because we have our big coffee trade show in Boston in 2 weeks. So I'll see some more people there and like get more of a feel for that. But like, for example, like there's definitely an impact on coffee coming out of Yemen because of the war that's happening there. And actually, speaking of that war, the last day that I was in Jeddah on Sunday and Monday, they actually had missile attacks on the city. So Yemen had fired missiles. The Houthi rebels, I think, had fired missiles and drone strikes, and they were attacking petroleum plants to the south of the city. But we were out that night on Monday night, and my friend who was driving, he was like, "Dude, look at that!" And I was like, I couldn't see it because the roof line was from the passenger seat was blocking me, but evidently there was something coming down. I was like, "Oh, great." You know, as long as it doesn't blow up on our heads, I guess it's okay. Fertilizer shortage thanks to the war. That could be a problem. Yeah, that could be a problem. A lot of the producers that I'm working with use more bioengineered kind of stuff, so they're actually creating their own fertilizer on their farm. So I don't think that'll affect them as much, but definitely the larger production for most coffee will definitely be impacted by the fertilizer. It's a small world. I don't know if it's really going to be Ethiopians relying for Ukraine for fertilizer. I think it's more of the really big production centers like Brazil and Vietnam that are going to be using that kind of thing. Because a lot of times a lot of the farmers in Ethiopia tend to be small plot holders, 1 or 2 hectares, and they're not really growing a lot. So, but I don't know. I have to talk more about that. That's something that is kind of interesting to figure out. Yeah, it should probably affect everyone. But a lot of the farmers that I work with don't really use petroleum-based fertilizer. That's been, in the world of like higher end specialty, that's been kind of frowned upon. Oh, maybe there is construction issues because it's gone out again. And this time I wasn't talking too much. Okay, that's a little bit disappointing. All right, back to Cirilla method. If the Jeep has any more fluid. Okay, and that's not. Back to the matches. All right, here we go. There's a really acrid flavor on the relight. George says it might be time to whip that. It could be time. It could be time for that. We're back again. We're gonna try to go to the bitter end. For the show cigars, I like to give it as much as we possibly can, because with the 2 relights now aside, it's been overall pretty decent. So, George, do you normally find the HVC line to be lighter and maybe more underwhelming, or was it just this particular cigar? Tony said it's like talk, puff, not talk. I don't think I was talking that much this time when it went out. Definitely the first time it went out, I was like, that was a long time. All right, turn relay. Okay, it goes down 3rd time. We'll let it go. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Bitter, hot, and sour. HVC fall in the mid range of body. Okay. I think I would. I'm presuming. I mean, like I said earlier, I think this is more in the medium plus area. I think. Mm. Oh, the coffee. Good for the. Well, by now the coffee has cooled down quite a bit, and it's crisp and clean. Like it's a brighter coffee, so it's nice because it kind of cuts across the palate well. So very enjoyable coffee. Like actually, I must say that I remember this coffee having much more dramatic fruit tones to it, like more berry notes. So I think that's also part of the cold occluding my senses. Ah, not bad. Tap it out before I spill it on myself again. Yeah, good. So we're smoking the HVC 500th Anniversary Tesoro, which is a Toro shaped cigar, and it's been pretty good, despite the fact that I'm have a cold and I have some lessening of the taste buds. We might be running into some problems. And I say that because I'm looking at the computer and I'm running because I have this. I normally use a little USB drive, a USB hub, like a 4-port hub, to connect the camera to the computer, this laptop. And by using that hub, it allows me to connect all the peripherals, like the monitor, the external monitor, and more importantly, the power supply. And so right now, I'm driving the monitor with the computer on the laptop on the laptop on the battery. And because I have the camera plugged into the card is so much bigger than the port, it prevents me from plugging the power in. So we're running at 31%, which I think is a faster burn rate than last week because it's driving this larger 27-inch monitor. So I had to watch that. How are you looking at that chair? Oh, yeah, this chair. Speaking if you're looking for a wing chair, I don't know if you're looking for new or you're open to used, but if you go to Alex Cooper Auctions, they're having this Woodbury kitchen auction. So Woodbury Kitchen is under renovation, and they're auctioning a bunch of their stuff. But this wasn't a Woodbury item, but it's in that same auction lot. They do have some of these Queen Anne wing chairs available, or that's at auction. So you might go there. This particular one's interesting because I got this one from the Goodwill here in Cockeysville, and I went there one day and it was like $35. And I sat in it and I was like, sometimes you sit in these wing chairs and like, the wings are all like, okay, that's uncomfortable. But this one fit nicely. And I was like, this fits nicely. It was $35 and it was like a Friday. And I was like, you know what? If it's there on Monday, I'm going to buy it. So I went back on Monday. It was still there. And I went to buy it. And they were like, oh, yeah, we marked it down even more. It's like $15. So I got this chair for $15. So I tossed it in the back of the truck, brought her over here to the studio. And my next door neighbor here in the building is an upholsterer, really, really amazing upholsterer. So if you ever need any upholstery work, definitely come to my guy here. He's not cheap. It will not be fast, and it will not be cheap, but it will be amazing, like amazing work. Like I think he's running at least a 6-month backlog right now. Actually, he tells me that, like, he tells his customers, like, don't bring your pieces down. Let me know what you want to do. We'll talk about it, and then I'll tell you when in a few months you can bring it down, and then we'll do it. But yeah, this worked out really well. I like it. It was funny because when I showed it to him, he was like, "That's not the original fabric." And I was like, "Oh, really?" Because I guess an expert can tell, so he could tell, like, right away that it was a different fabric. But they're nice, and just gotta find one that fits. That's all. Brian says his battery operated mug, the Ember, is good for tea, but it would have coffee and passive flavor. Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, I feel very comfortable in it. Yeah, when I was thinking about how to set this part of the set for this show, this is kind of what I had in mind. I would like to have some kind of light source, like a torchiere or something like that. I was thinking about putting like a candelabra here, but I don't really have the place to set it up. Like, I've got a little side table now. Slowly it'll come together. No, not Alice Cooper, Alex Cooper. And I use Manic Panic, don't you know? So Peter's asking, how does Cigar's construction affect the ability to maintain the light? So the way that, actually, this is something that I'm going to let George tell you, because George is a much more better authority on that, the technical details of cigar construction and how that actually works together. But, part of it, I think, is certain tobaccos that they'll use will have more combustibility. But George is the one that really knows this kind of thing, and he works with a lot of manufacturers on, putting together kind of cigars. So I'll have to defer to what he says on that. That I don't really know. But it definitely will have an impact. So how the leaves of rose can influence both draw and burn, either too tight or too loose, can be problematic, kind of like Mama Bear standards. Okay, yeah. Yeah, so if you get it really, really tight, then you're really sucking hard, and it's hard to get that combustion going through the cigar. And then if it's too light, I think it burns really, really fast. And it's when it's really, really loose, and you're like, it's the way that I can liken it. If you've ever tried there are these hookahs, right? People like hookahs, and I don't like them because I find that it's too loose. Or was it too hard? I don't recall. But I'm not going to talk anymore about that because I'm not really making any sense. But other than the fact that if I don't talk too much, this cigar has burned fairly well. And Brian's lighting up an LFD cabinet 660. Oh, I don't think I've ever tried one of those. Oh, so some bad news that I have, and you guys don't really know this, but so I started smoking cigars in pretty much 1994, and I always liked the idea of like going to a cigar shop. So when I was still living in Honolulu in '94, I went around and I found a cigar shop locally, a place called Don Pablo Smoke Shop. And at the time, Don Pablo Smoke Shop was originally from Las Vegas, and they did their own rolled cigars in Vegas. They had a bunch of rollers in their shop, and they sold on the strip. They were fairly decent cigars. I mean, by our standards today, probably nothing really tremendous. But, when I was 25 and I didn't know anything about cigars, they were fantastic. And they had, at their Honolulu shop, they had more than just their own line. They also had a bunch of other cigars. I think Fuente, Pleiades, a whole spectrum of cigars. And so I went down there, and I just started hanging out there and trying. Every day I would try a different cigar from the humidor to get the spread and really understand the flavors and develop the palate. And the store manager was a guy named Ray, big guy, and very welcoming, really open, and like about our age, and maybe a little bit older than me, like maybe 2 years. And we became really, really good friends. Like, we had a group of friends at this Honolulu shop that was just so very tight, like a really great group of friends. And I've known Ray now since that time. So, and I just got word from my cousin. My cousin called me this afternoon. He's like, "Hey man, I just heard, like, Ray actually had a stroke, and a pretty bad one. Like, he's lucid still, but he's lost his function on half his body." And like, because my cousin ran into his brother Renee, and like Renee told him it happened like 2 months ago. And I was like, "What? No one told me." And I was like, "Holy crap, man!" Like, so man, yeah. So one of our brothers in cigars, man, has been struck ill. It's very, very troubling. Yeah, George knows his stuff. George knows his stuff. I'm but just a guy sitting in front of a camera smoking a cigar compared to George. He definitely knows the stuff. But yeah, so a little bit sad in that respect, but machine-made cigars are often the most poor quality materials. Oh, yeah, okay. There have been high-quality machine-made smokes, but mostly in the past. Oh, okay. Fast equals hot, tight equals poor combustion, ending in relights, which means heat. So, yeah, okay. Oh, yeah, so that was the answer to that. Okay, gotcha. When I was gosh, well, how old was I? Maybe it was the early 2000s, maybe 2002, 2001. I had to go to Fort Worth. My cousin Geraldine was getting married, and so they were having this celebration. So me and my parents flew down to Fort Worth, and they put us up. Her parents put us up at this their club there. There's this like city club kind of place, really fancy, like like they were very well to do. And actually their part of the family was very, like, even in the Philippines, they're very well to do. So they're very well to do here. And so we're there, and like it was a weekend long event. Like Friday night we were at the stockyards at this, I don't know, pre-reception whatever dinner. And I'm sitting out there, I'm smoking this cigar. So I brought some Partagas. I was smoking Partagas number 10s back then. So I was smoking outside of this hotel, this restaurant, and this older gentleman comes up to me. He's like, "Hey, do you mind if I join you?" I say, "Of course." And so, he's older. He was, at the time, he was probably in his 70s or older. Tall, gray hair, skinny, like, fit guy, cowboy outfit, Western shirt, jeans, that kind of thing. And so we spent the whole weekend talking, smoking cigars at the at the reception, or at the rehearsal dinner, then at the reception, and then the next day they had a brunch, and so we smoked cigars the whole weekend. An interesting guy, and like, so he was always smoking these like 49-cent cigars that he got from Tampa. I think they were called Villagers or Villazons or Villa something. And he was so passionate about them, so passionate about them. And I remember because it was funny, at the very end of by Sunday, we were going, the last event, he was like, "Hey, I brought you a cigar." I was like, "Oh man, you didn't have to do that." He's like, "Yeah, I just wanted to give you one." I was like, "Oh, thanks." And it was this really lovely Cohiba Cuban. And I was kind of laughing because it's like, "Hey, I've got a bunch of these, but I really love these." And he's like, "Here, let me give you something." He gave me the paperwork for it so I could order some. And but he was so into these cigars. It was so interesting. And I think they were machine made, but he loved them, so passionate, so enthusiastic for them. But he had stocks of Cubans. And he was also wildly like successful. So he could buy whatever he wanted, but he loved these like 49-cent cigars. But I always remember that. His family was, if you're familiar with a company that makes, I guess, outdoor wear, similar to Carhartt, a company called Walls. That was his family's business. And I think he had sold the company, and he was now doing things like financing banks and stuff like that. And I was like, stuff that was very like high end, but he loved these like cheap cigars. I just remember that so well. So the question about the machine made just kind of reminds me of that little interlude. Really nice guy. Oh yeah, yeah. You should definitely come out for the live remote. We're gonna do we might go to Philly and do one there, and then and so this live stream, this is the episode 86. So we're gonna reach our 100th episode at the end of June. So we're gonna have a bigger epic live, not as epic as Alan's 15-hour odyssey, but we're gonna do probably a 6-hour journey where we'll have multiple hosts and like smoking and drinking and food and all that. So if you I don't know where you are, Peter. Actually, I don't know what part of the country you're in, but if you come to Baltimore, you're welcome to come down and join us. It'll probably be. It looks like we're targeting Saturday, July 2nd. So some of our guys are going to do some, like Tony's going to do some barbecue. Rusty's going to come down from New Jersey. We might get Young Ma to come down from New York City. So it should be a good time. Rusty's Wild Part number 10. Yeah, I love those number 10s, man. Like, we used to be a little bit snobby of those 10s. Like, Don Pablo had the 10s, right? The Partagas number 10s. And then one of our other good friends, Frank, who's one of our really close friends now, who lives in Bangkok now. But at the time, he was a photographer working part-time at the Dunhill store in Honolulu. And so at the time, Dunhill sold cigars and the Dunhill 110s. And I don't think there was really any difference between the Partagas number 10 and the Dunhill Partagas number 110. But we were always like, oh, the 110, we got to have the 110. Just because, it's Dunhill, we're fancy, we're fancy. We're, in our mid-20s and like super fancy guys, Oh, Partagas Rosso. I didn't know that, Tony. I didn't know that. Vinegar were originally Smith's made machine roll way back in the day. They were using. Oh, okay. Yeah, I had to I must have that flyer that he gave me somewhere in my letters. I have to. Maybe I'll go through them and see if I can find it and show you guys one day. Maria's grandfather financed banks, but lived in his childhood home. These guys that really, I think, I really do believe that the American guys that have a lot of money that didn't that actually made their money or like worked hard for their money, they all live relatively frugally. Like this guy, he had like a pickup truck, like a beat up pickup truck, and he wore like simple clothes. Like there was nothing fancy about. Like you wouldn't look at him and be like, "Oh, this guy's, he's not driving around in anything super fancy." Do they still make? I believe they do. Well, maybe not. I don't know. And that La Gloria Cabana Revel from Miami were the two cigars we had that rolling over. Oh, gotcha. Those Wavels, man. I still have that bundle of Wavels. Oh, the Dunhills smoke better that way. Yeah, we were too young to know. Too young, too inexperienced to know. Did they really smoke better for us? But they came from Dunhill, so we were like, okay, we're totally like stylish guys. We're some soigné mothers. That's what we were. I think he does mean the La Gloria LGC Wavels, the Robusto shaped ones. Yeah, I remember in '97 when they had when we had the boom, and the price like skyrocketed. Like I remember this bundle. I probably have said this on the show before. I'm sure I have, but that bundle of Wavels that I bought from Max's on Broadway. It was the most expensive cigar I'd ever bought at that. Well, no, that's not true. It's probably the second most expensive cigar that I ever bought, because those Wavels, those 20 cigars, were $113, and I remember buying them thinking, "Oh my God, this is astronomical, astronomical." Now, if you get a bundle of something like that for $113, you'd be stoked. Oh my goodness, such good times. Good times at Cigar. Good times at Cigars. Yeah, it's starting to get a little burn issue, I think, here on the side. Like I kind of want to hit it with like right here. I don't know if you can see that, but like right here, it's starting to like not be lit. I'm gonna hit it. Oh, that helped. That helped. LGC used to be 95 cents to 250. Oh yeah, man, that was so painful. I was like, oh my gosh, crazy, crazy. I have to go look at some of these boxes that I have in the humidor to see what the prices were back in the mid 90s. Like, it's like, some of the fancier cigars, $1.50, $2, I think. Like, I think I, I think what is it? The double Chateau Fuentes were under $2. And I didn't get to go to any cigar bars or cigar outings the rest of my trip in Jeddah, just Thursday night that we did the show. And then it wasn't until the last night that we were there that I didn't know what one of my judges who lives there is actually into cigars too. And I was like, it was only the last night that we were there at our late night dinner that he was like, that they were like, oh yeah, Abdul Rahman's also into cigars. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, I love cigars. I was like, oh man. I was like, well, we could have smoked. I was like, it would have been awesome. So next time. Of course, evidently in Jeddah, there's some good cigar lounges. There's a couple good cigar places in Riyadh. Like we went to one this past time, but it was more of a private club. So my friend, his boss was a member, so they took us there. That was a nice time. And then actually at the Sheraton, the old Sheraton in Riyadh, they have a smoking lounge. And I mean, this hotel is straight out of the '80s. Like it looks like it's out of the '80s. The design of the exteriors '80s, interiors it looks like '80s. They've updated a little bit, but not tremendous. But it's actually one of the places that I've been to that their exhaust was excellent. Like it was really like, actually, it's kind of like it is tonight. It's been, evacuating pretty well. Like, Jenna Cigar Lounge better be. Oh yeah, that's probably very true. That's like the hotel they put us up in, or put me up in, was the hotel where we did the show from, the Ritz Carlton. And that was, I finally asked one of the guys, one of the concierge guys, said, how much is the normal rate here? And he's like, oh, it's about $800 a night. And I was like, holy crap. $800. That's great. Oh, speaking of which, $800. So I was on YouTube earlier today, and for some reason, the Galaxy Cruiser from Disney, Star Wars, right? So they have this Galaxy Cruiser thing, right? Where you go on this pretend cruise in the stars. So I guess they have this whole hotel experience where you go in and you stay in this hotel space for, I don't know, a week or 4 days, and you live this whole Star Wars life. But they were showing this one video was showing the room, which was the mid-tier room. And I was looking at this and I was like, you know what? Yeah, I get it that you're paying for the entire experience, but the room was like, yeah, it looked like Star Wars-y kind of room, but it just was chintzy. I was like, this is some chintzy ass stuff. Like, this is an $8,000 like rate room, and it's like, I was like, no, I wouldn't. I'd be upset. Like, especially after coming from Jeddah at the Ritz-Carlton, I was like, this is not. I was like, that's not acceptable. I don't know. If you get the chance on YouTube, look it up and like, that Galaxy Star Cruiser or whatever they call it, Galaxy Quest or. George's got to bounce. All right, my friend. Have a good one. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you being with us as always. Actually, we're getting down to 10%, so we may have to end the podcast soon, the live stream soon, maybe another 10 minutes or so. The HVC 500 is still rolling. Not bad. But definitely, like, it's hard I really can't give I can't give an assessment on it because my palate is definitely occluded from the cold. And, it's just not. I really can't report accurately on any of the flavor profiles. Construction-wise, so far, fairly good. We did have those 2 burnouts. So burn, that would be, low. Draw has been very good, but the burn, not very good. So maybe like, I would have to give it on this one like a 6.5. The fragrance, again, the fragrance hard to say because of the occlusion. So, all right, Peter, man, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you seeing. See you on the other podcasts or the other live streams. Have a great one out there. All right, good. Yeah, this is definitely one of those times, I think, where you got the cold and you're smoking a cigar, but you're not really getting the full experience out of it. But how's the live stream been holding out? Has there been any glitches or has been rolling fairly smoothly? Like I said, I'm running tonight's live stream from the laptop that I did last week, but it's running on the Wi-Fi system here, which typically is what we normally use. But I'm just wondering, like, if there was any kind of glitching because the distance is a little bit more than in the other room. We've still got quite a bit left, but Brian says, "No one froze." Okay. So my kit normally has this gigabit Ethernet adapter, so USB, that has some USB ports on it. But I think that was also in the bag that went missing. So I don't have that ability. So, but I normally can run it hardline if I need to. So maybe for future ones, we'll run hardline off of Ethernet cable. definitely at this point, it's there's definitely been a change from the early part. Was a lot of like that spicy black pepper was really pronounced and coming through. Now it definitely has changed. So there's not as much. There's just not as much pop. So it's all kind of like getting muddled now because of my palate. Yeah, Di, unfortunately, the bags are still missing. Hopefully, they'll recover them. I actually called a friend of mine in Saudi Arabia to be like, hey, man, can you call the airline and ask them if they found it? Because I think where the glitch happened was probably this. So I flew Saudi Airlines from Jeddah to Riyadh, and then Lufthansa from Riyadh to Frankfurt, and then Lufthansa Frankfurt to Chicago. And when I got to Chicago, I'm supposed to claim the bags because that's port of entry, and they never arrived. So somewhere along those way, it didn't. And on the outbound, I had to recover my bags in Riyadh and then check them separately to Jeddah. So I'm wondering, like, my bags were tagged all the way through. So to me, that means they're automatically gonna transfer. I'm thinking that maybe they didn't make the transfer in Riyadh. Which would suck. But we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully they'll recover them. Like, I've had bags lost at least twice. They were always recovered. Actually, they were usually recovered within 24 hours. So hopefully. All right. My Mac is now telling me that it's going to shut down unless I plug it in. So we're going to cut things off now. End our broadcast. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you spending this time with me. Back again every Thursday. Next week, we're going to be doing the Revenge from Romacraft. Put that to the test, and I'll have the new schedule for the upcoming cigars settled by the weekend, because on Saturday, I'm going to go head down Rose and choose the cigars for coming up. And well, hopefully that won't be the case, Brian. Hopefully. Well, we'll see. We'll see. All right. So thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you spending another week with me, another Thursday night. Have a great one.